Okay, so as you guys are probably aware, there's been some announcements in the VeVe community about there being some gamification coming in the future. I wanted to make a video related to augmented reality and gaming because if you look at the VeVe platform, they're pretty much centered around augmented reality, virtual reality when we interact with our collectibles. In light of that, I wanted to read macrumors.com, came out April 14th. So I want to jump into this article really quick, and then we'll dive into where I see the future of gaming and augmented reality and how that correlates with our collectibles in the VeVe app, as well as any augmented reality assets that we are collecting across any Web3 platform. Pokemon Go creator Niantic releasing Peridot augmented reality pet game. Niantic, the company behind the popular Pokemon Go game for iOS devices, this week announced the upcoming launch of its next tile, a virtual pet game called Peridot. Users will care for, raise, and breed virtual pets, sort of like a modern-day iPhone version of Tamagotchi. The pets are called peridots, or dots for short, and players will raise them from birth, play games, explore places, discover hidden treasures around the world, take photos, and unlock new peridot archetypes through breeding. As with other Niantic games, there is a real-world component to Peridot, with augmented reality versions of the pets able to be broadcast into the real world for walks and playing. Niantic is soft-launching Peridot in select markets in the near future, and the company plans to iterate on the gameplay experience during the testing period. Those who want to learn more can sign up for an email newsletter on the Niantic website. Niantic is best known for its development of Pokemon Go, but the company has also developed Ingress in the new defunct Harry Potter. So yeah, there's another article that I read on Niantic where they talk about how everything that Niantic put out hasn't really just taken off due to augmented reality, and it just shows how augmented reality, regardless of the IP, can also struggle for mass adoption. So the numbers on their Harry Potter Wizards Unite game had dropped, I think, below 50% or something like that. So they actually pulled the plug on that game. So yeah, let's jump into a quick preview of Peridot, and then we'll continue. Niantic is definitely on par. If you look at what the Niantic CEO said about, say, Meta and what everybody's doing and the route that everybody's trying to go with the whole Metaverse thing, he basically sees the Metaverse as augmented opposed to virtual. I feel like the Metaverse has to be something that's all immersive, that's fully immersive, right? The word Metaverse describes a fully realized digital world that exists beyond the one in which we live. It was coined by Neil Stephenson in his 1992 novel Snow Crash, and the concept was further explored by Ernest Cline in his novel Ready Player One. When you put your VR headset on, you become fully immersed in this world because that's all that you see. But it's something that's stationary. So I feel like it has to be, in order for something to be like mass adopted, like the phone or like the smartphone, it has to be something that you can take with you all the time, that you can incorporate into your day-to-day schedule and not have to be stationary. So something like the Oculus or VR headsets is more of the stationary metaverse experience. And because of that, I don't feel like that's going to be the way of mass adoption. I feel like it will be through something like the camera phone, the camera lens. I believe that the camera lens on the smartphones is going to be the way that we all become immersed into this metaverse. But I feel like it will be augmented reality.
I think it's obvious that we have. I think the brilliance of this is really to David and Dan when they went to augmented reality 3D. They could have very easily just printed these things as a digital picture, and yet would have not had that same gravitas of having to be able to walk around them, be able to really get a sense that this is something that is existing in let's call it a twilight zone.
Niantic makes another acquisition, absorbing AR Studio NZXR. Just a month after its last acquisition of the web AR development platform 8th Wall, Niantic announced its purchase of the New Zealand-based augmented reality studio NZXR today. These strategic acquisitions are part of Niantic's overarching plan to build what it calls a real-world metaverse, which is dependent on AR rather than VR. So the reason I'm reporting about this is because if you looked at my last video and a lot of my videos prior, I talk about mainly augmented reality as well as VeVe and Ecomi because of their current footing and position in the augmented reality, in the potential of an augmented reality metaverse. But there's always the argument that the metaverse is gonna be mass adopted by way of virtual reality. And here recently, the conversation that I've kind of been echoing about augmented reality metaverses is now coming to play. And I think that goes hand in hand with augmented reality gaming. Rather than going their separate ways, the team built their own business, working on projects like AR skateboarding game Skatrix and the interactive theater experience Destination Mars. So let's check out Skatrix really quick and you could see really what that is.
Something a little bit different because I'm at the skate park I work at and we're gonna try a game called Skatrix. It says skate anywhere, skate anything, so I thought it would be perfect to do it here. A little bit like Rodney Mullen. Maybe try to get a closer look at him. Our beautiful friend here.
Let's go.
Soon after, the makers of Pokemon Go and Ingress raised $300 million at a $9 billion valuation, aiming to build a metaverse that brings people together through their shared technological experiences. Something I want to touch on here, when in the paragraph where it says, in the beginning of the paragraph, it says, in November, Niantic unveiled its free Lightship AR developer kit to make building AR experiences more accessible. So I think that there will be an underlying platform of augmented reality ready-made inside of our phones and take all of these AR assets and place them on this invisible plane. Basically how we're doing in the VeVe Vault. And then we go into our library of augmented reality assets, aka collectibles, and then we start to import those collectibles onto this empty plane, which is our augmented reality canvas. And that's going to be more commonly adopted within the next 5 years, where we'll have all of these different kinds of augmented reality assets that we can now place and have interact with each other or build scenes as we're doing in our vaults. But we'll be doing it in the world around us, similar to the export feature in the VeVe app, where you kind of have this invisible vault and you can lay your collectibles out in the real world. Tech founder and CEO John Hank has referred to the metaverse, at least the one that renders us bound to VR headsets like in Ready Player One, as a dystopian nightmare. Unlike Facebook, which changed its company's name to Meta to signal its investment in VR technology, Niantic wants to develop technology that brings people closer to the outside world. Early this month, Niantic unveiled its Lightship AR developer kit, ARDK, which makes tools to develop AR games publicly available for free to anyone who has a basic knowledge of the Unity game engine. At Niantic, we believe humans are the happiest when their virtual world leads them to a physical one. Hank said at the time, unlike a sci-fi metaverse, a real-world metaverse will use technology to improve our experiences of the world as we've known it for the thousands of years. The funding will help expand ARDK, which has already been used by companies like Coachella, Historic Royal Palaces, Universal Pictures, SoftBank, Warner Music Group, and the PGA of America, to create augmented reality experiences. So instead of using technology like VR headsets, which are still inaccessible to much of the population, AR projects mostly using smartphones to encourage people to explore their outside surroundings. You might walk by the same mural every day, for example, but in Pokemon Go, a user-generated Pokestop description might tell you what the mural actually represents. Niantic says that tens of millions of people play Niantic's game each month, walking more than 10.9 billion miles in their games since launch. And something that I'll say about that, they just now pinpointed how many miles is being walked while using this game. keep in mind that the cameras are on and scanning the world around them. So Niantic, when they released Pokemon Go and the mass adoption of Pokemon Go and how all of these camera phones from around the world were walking around recording experiences, Niantic was able to develop basically a file cabinet of all of this land view information and data based around the planet Earth. So there's this visual that Niantic holds in their data bank that shows basically a human view of a lot of the world. With all of these camera angles meshed together, they create their version of the real world. But as independent developers get their hands on Niantic's Lightship AR DK, we'll see how far the concept of a real-world metaverse can stretch. So this is something pretty cool that I think people should keep in mind when they think about the future of VeVe at the moment. So currently, I feel like, it's mainly about collecting. People are thinking about, all of the drops and how people are watching the marketplace, watching the floor prices of their collectibles and things of that nature. But I also think people should keep in mind that they're basically at the stage of building out your AR asset library. After releasing the assets that will go into your AR library, aka collectibles, you'll build up your library of AR assets. We have a peephole into what that experience will be like with our VeVe Vaults. The VeVe Vault is nowhere near what everything will eventually evolve into. So I think people need to keep that in mind when it comes to the future of these assets in the VeVe app and the utility of them, because a lot of the things that may not have value now in the sense of collectible may in turn become more scarce or more sought after when there's a spotlight focused on building. And as you can see, the VeVe community, how they interact with their vaults have became builders in the augmented reality space, dealing with XYZ accesses, opposed to just being collectors and like, okay, I have all of my collectibles in my wallet. You have amazing builders that grew out of the space. So think about that skill set when it comes to something like building out your VeveVerse experience.
To me, I think the best moment is all these conversations we had over these years and then seeing it come to fruition, in a way that really no one else has really mastered, and I think there's been a lot of competition that's come in. I'm sure there'll be people doing augmented reality 3D, but yet this one, we're standing, and we are, I think we're the gold standard of where this art form is. And the question is, what do you do for an encore? What do you do going forward?
When augmented reality reaches its adoption, augmented reality gaming will be next, and the assets of those games will be pretty sought after if it's connected to blockchain technology. So Nickelodeon is bringing emerging tech to its audience with the addition of an augmented reality mode, its #1 mobile game app Skywell, and the brand new Do Not Touch AR app, which allows users to interact with disruptive moments and surprises in the real world. Nickelodeon Skywell averages 2 million active monthly users and nearly 30 million global downloads since the launch. You guys could go read this full article if you want on Broadway World, but I want to jump into the Nickelodeon Do Not Touch app. When you guys think about Mighty Marvels, imagine something like this, even if it's a simple game, but this is from 2018, so you can only imagine that the graphics are going to be much better and closer to the quality of our collectibles. But look at what's happening here with the IP of Ninja Turtles, SpongeBob, Nickelodeon, etc. See, it's reading the environment right now. You see that? You see how it reads the environment? Okay, so check this out. So imagine you're going to mint a project and you go into augmented reality or something like this, and you pick the 2 different elements you want. So say you want some sunflower shoes. You know, you could pick whatever you want, headphones, basketball, but sunflower shoes, right? Then we hit generate. And this is what you have.